This week, we travel into a tome of Minmay and Macross in Robotech.
So, hi, and welcome to Tome Travelers. This week we are going to be talking about Robotech, at the time, the RPG by Palladium Games.
And one of my favorites.
Definitely
This
doing...
is a theme that we're doing Sam's favorite.
Yeah. Well, and that's there is a reason.
It was a discussion we had, yeah.
Yeah. Sam is going to be moving out, and he'll still be on the show and still be a co-host, but it's going to be, it might be a bit before we get back to recording. And no, it's just going to be, I wanted to do a good send-off, and so we chose two games that he really enjoyed. So...
And he's had to sit and listen to a bunch of games that he knows nothing about.
Yeah.
I mean, TMNT was the only other one that I really knew, but that's also because it's Palladium. So
yeah.
And I am still a huge fan of Palladium.
I am too. You know, all things considered, all problems aside, I am a Palladium fanboy, and I dream of a day when a third edition of Heroes Unlimited will come, and I know probably never will. But I still love that game.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
So, but anyways, so we're not really talking about any of those other games. We're talking about Robotech, which was published by Palladium from 1986 to 1995, republished in 1998, and published again in the era known as Robotech: The Shadow Chronicles from 2008 to 2018. And it briefly gained popularity during the Robotech's Tactics minigame.
Robotech Shadow Chronicles, that was a book, or a book series, I want to say. 'Cause I remember having it at one point, or seeing someone with it.
Yeah. No, that's a whole other matter we hit that point.
It's like a huge... I don't know anything about it, but from what little I remember, I wasn't very impressed with it.
I don't remember who got money, but somebody got money.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to touch on that one.
There was actually, I'm surprised you didn't mention this, there was actually a Robotech video game.
Oh, yes, it's
I
wonderful.
want to say on Xbox. Was it on your Xbox?
Yes, it was.
Because we were living in College Station at the time.
And it featured the original soundtrack. And the game was, the art style had the whole...
it was cell shading back when that was kind of new.
Yep. Hi.
Sorry, I forgot to do that before we started recording.
No problem.
You are ruining the recording.
Guys, just continue to have your little fanboy.
Glare.
You guys I was hoping that you guys would be so distracted.
Yeah, it worked really well. So, but let's go ahead and talk about other things that happened in 1986. Other than the fact that, yes, I went to Disney World that year. Yeah.
I turned 2. I feel like all these older games, that like the only thing that I have to say is I was an age in which I have very few memories.
I think at that point I was in junior high. I don't remember if I was here in Texas or in Arkansas and then later California with my mom.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it. I remember seeing the series, and I want to say I remember seeing it when I was still in Texas.
Yep.
So I ended up having a fight with my sisters over that.
But so other things that happened that year.
I know.
We have the Chernobyl disaster.
Yeah.
And that's a huge one. Mm-hmm. We have Ted Turner's Goodwill Games. A lot of people don't remember that. It ended in the early 2000s. They stopped holding them. But Ted Turner...
I remember the phrase Goodwill Games, but I don't recall what they were.
So Ted Turner started
I know who Ted Turner is.
Yeah. As kind of his own version of the Olympics.
Okay.
Yeah. The first one was held actually in Moscow. Moscow. It was held there with representatives from 70 countries and the idea was goodwill. The idea was let's open our borders, let's get everybody together, peace on earth, whatever.
Which is technically what the Olympics are for.
Yeah.
Well, Ted Turner always struck me as that kind of guy who just needed to put his name out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd slapped his name on everything that he owns.
Yeah. But he ran this thing every 4 years, just like the Olympics, for almost 20 years. I think it was either 16 or 20 years that they did the Goodwill Games.
Interesting.
Is he still alive?
I think so.
No.
Ted Turner. Because he did TNT and TBS.
He also started CNN.
Did he really?
I want to say he started CNN.
Well, that one he didn't throw his name on. I'm surprised.
Maybe. I may be wrong then.
Ted Turner.
I know he did TBS.
I just remember his mustache. I always, it's like
he
the
was married
billionaire
to Jane
with the
Fonda.
Mm-hmm.
Was he really?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, he was for a hot 10 years.
Oh, wow.
They divorced in 2001.
So is he still alive?
He is still alive.
Wow.
Good
He's
night.
80.
Hmm.
He has a son named Teddy.
So
He's
Ted
got lots
and
of
Teddy.
sons. He's got Rhett and Bo and Ginny and Laura. Because he's like the southern.
Wow. Yeah,
he's
he
the
was.
southern billionaire, isn't he? Isn't
Yeah.
he the guy that's like in Atlanta or something?
Yeah, eventually he can have the whole cast of Gone with the Wind.
Didn't
Oh,
he?
Lord.
Didn't he own? Did he own the WCW, or were they just on his?
I think
channel?
so. I think so.
TBS used to hold a lot of wrestling, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was his channel. That's probably what I'm thinking of. Not
And
CNN,
that's
but
how-
TBS is probably what I'm thinking of.
CNN in 1978, he contacted media executive Reese Schonfeld with his plans to found a 24-hour news channel.
Okay.
And Schonfeld responded that it could be done with a staff of 300 if they used an all-electronic newsroom and satellites for all transmissions. And Turner famously stated, because they ended up doing it, he famously stated, "We won't be signing off until the world ends. We'll be on, and we will cover the end of the world live, and that will be our last event. We'll play Nearer My God to Thee before we sign off."
Wow.
So that is
I want to
his...
say there's actually a tape that they have ready to go
Yeah.
if there's like total nuclear annihilation.
But yeah,
or
so
some
he
craziness.
he purchased Jim Crockett Promotions, which he renamed World Championship Wrestling, which is what I watched more of than WWF. But
I know he owned
Didn't
a
he have
baseball
his
team at
yeah,
one point.
yeah, I think he had
probably
his
the
finger.
Braves.
Yeah, I think he had his fingers in the whole arena football thing that went for a while.
Probably.
My God, there's so much.
Yeah.
Oh, well, see, you know what? I don't know why I have ill feelings towards Ted Turner. Maybe just because he's rich, but he had a rivalry with Rupert Murdoch, and I hate that guy. So good on you, Ted.
He's like a walking. Rupert Murdoch is like a walking wrinkle. Just a walking wrinkle.
A walking wrinkle.
Yeah.
That's awful. That's awesome. I like that. I'm gonna start. I mean, I would say that about Keith Richards, but he's less wrinkle and more just like desiccated flesh.
Yeah. He's more desiccated.
But other things from 1986. Yeah.
Hey, Keith Richards was alive in '86. Maybe not. I don't know. We don't know when he was died and exhumed, but it was at some point in the past 30 years.
Haley's Comet.
Yeah. Haley's Comet was that year.
Wow.
And
I vaguely recall that.
I
How often
remember.
does it come around?
Every 70?
Yeah.
Every
Is
70?
it 70 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so it
Yeah, because I
wasn't.
remember it was like it's this huge deal.
Yeah. You
So
see
it wasn't Haley's that came by when I was a kid.
No.
It must have been. Oh, it was Hale Bop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's the one that hit Jupiter or Saturn?
Parts of it hit.
I just
Jupiter.
kn- I
Actually,
just-
I think
Jupiter.
it was Jupiter,
It
yeah.
is Jupiter.
Because
I
they
just
went through the
know
clouds.
it took the Heaven's Gate folks with them.
Other things, we also have the first Studio Ghibli film, Laputa Castle in the Sky.
I saw that a long time ago
So
on VCR, VHS tape.
I love Studio Ghibli. So many great
Is it
movies.
pronounced Ghibli?
Ghibli.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also heard Ghibli.
I think I say Ghibli, but I guess I'm just thinking of like giblets.
Yeah, see, that's the first
it's
thing I
almost
would think.
Thanksgiving, so it's turkey and Ghibli.
Yeah.
Oh, we should do turkey and Totoro.
Oh, that'd
New
be fun.
tradition.
Wow.
Turkey and Ghibli. I think I say Studio Ghibli. I think I make it Ghibli.
Yeah.
But
But music of 1986. we have Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone.
I will never, ever, ever hear that
Right
again
into
without thinking
the
of
danger zone.
Archer.
Hi.
Yes, thank goodness.
And I'm not sad about that.
Danger zone.
Danger Zone. And then
I see your true colors shining through. Actually,
Cyndi
I've only
Lauper.
heard like that part of that song, so I hope
you-
that's the right one.
yeah, that's it. That's Cyndi Lauper. Now there are various people who have re-recorded it over the years.
Oh, I'm sure they
Yeah,
have.
I didn't know it was a Cyndi Lauper song.
Yeah, the original one was Cyndi Lauper, and it was sang in traditional Cyndi Lauper style. So,
Her squeaky voice.
Oh, I love Cyndi Lauper though. I
Oh,
don't
she's
know.
fantastic.
God, she is a
okay.
cultural treasure.
Good Enough came out the year before. That's my favorite.
Oh,
Cyndi
Goonies
Lauper.
are good enough?
Yeah,
Yep.
I just call it Good Enough.
Yeah.
And that's good enough
It is.
for you.
That's all I remember from Cyndi Lauper in that song. I want a sci-fi television series where all the sounds of the ship that they're on are just Cyndi Lauper noises. That's what I want.
Oh,
I just
my
want like
God.
frequencies open.
Oh, man. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. I'd pay
Anyway,
for that.
yes, but yes. Biddly-doo, biddly-doo. That isn't that the Monday Night
Yep.
Football song? Biddly-doo,
It has a similar
biddly-doo-doo-doo,
sound to it, but
biddly-doo,
I think the Monday Night Football song is actually different.
Don't look at me.
And
I mean, it might be now, but I think it was at one point.
it might be.
Or maybe
But,
it was Thursday night.
Yep, but that was Europe, and that was a huge song, and
It's the final countdown.
yep, so many movies, so many,
I know.
workouts, sweating.
Wasn't there an ad recently for like something that you could microwave, and it was Europe was playing
Yes.
Final
Oh my
Countdown.
gosh.
Yeah.
They can't. Yeah.
all the
I want to
bands.
say it was like a Geico commercial or something.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm certain they've done it all at this point.
It's
Why not?
well, you look at all the bands that have done like really crappy commercials for like random junk. I know Asia did one too. Doesn't Asia did Eye of the Tiger, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So Asia and Europe have both been on like crappy commercials.
We just need another band called China.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There probably is one, or Africa, but
Well,
we have Toto,
Toto.
singing about the rains.
Yeah. Rains down in Africa and coming from a land down under from
Minute work.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Come on, Robotech.
Robotech.
Sam wants to
Robotech.
talk about
Robotech.
Robotech. We're over
Robotech.
here
Yep.
making bad jokes and corny references.
Well, I mean, it really doesn't bother me, but you're gonna have to edit all this.
Oh, he
and
doesn't,
go
though.
through.
he
I do
doesn't
some.
though. He leaves. Oh, do you?
I do. Some.
He leaves a lot of stuff. I mean, the internet knows that we're just a bunch of like grumpy people
Oh, okay.
that gripe about stuff. So
Cool. As long as they know.
we appreciate our games though. That's
We
what
do.
makes us different.
We're grouchy, but we're different.
That's right.
But so yeah, we again touching on published by Palladium from 86 to 95, and those were the softbound books that everybody knew at that time. It's the classic, Palladium style.
And we had a conversation on that. I want to say in TMNT.
Yes.
We were talking about how
Mm-hmm.
all of their books were like that.
Yeah, it's that. Well, I'll go ahead and toss it out there because they are the ones who pioneered it, and that is his claim to fame, and that is that the Palladium books is the basis of bringing perfect bound binding into games.
Oh, okay.
So it was not really done before them, but when they did it, that is where
Everybody did it.
Yeah, and it's cost effective. It makes sense.
It is.
So, when this book series came out, following the Robotech anime, which is a interesting mess unto itself, because Robotech is, I don't want to say it's not real.
It's a space opera.
It's a space opera, but it's also a space opera where they took 3 different cartoons.
Yep.
And created a whole new plot line and merged the three separate cartoons into one story, even though they had nothing to do with each other originally. But that whole style, like the Macross and Robotech and all these other interesting art styles with the Veritech fighters, the transforming robot ships, was very common in anime for a while. I mean, it was a hot thing. I really can't think of anything in the U.S. where everybody had to do it.
Yeah, we're not like that. I understand. From what I understand, Japan is like that. Like as soon as someone sees something that's great, everyone jumps on that bandwagon, which is fine. Yeah. But we kind of sort of do.
Maybe
we kind of sort of do.
Well, it's like Super Sentai, where you have Voltron is an example of Super Sentai. You have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is another example. And you go down the list of people in colored spandex outfits who come together to fight a bad guy.
Captain Planet.
Captain Planet, I guess, could fall in that.
Yeah, because it's melding.
Yeah. So,
but yes, actually, before we forget, I just want to say thank you, Harmony Gold, if you guys are still around, because they made my afternoons fantastic, and they're the ones that did it. That created all of this, and y'all are fantastic.
Embroiled in a lot of legal junk,
I think the majority of it. I think they are involved in one last lawsuit.
Jeez.
And I didn't really want to touch on that one too much because we really hit it hard for the BattleTech game, because that was one of the things that they took on.
Oh, that's right. I remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
Yeah. I will also say thank you, Harmony Gold, for an absolutely stellar soundtrack. Because the soundtrack for this system, or for the Robotech series, was amazing. So Palladium licensed this game directly from Harmony Gold and held the license for forever. They just did not let this go. And it was the home of the Robotech system, or the Robotech franchise, forever, until recently. But they released an extensive list of books and adventures, which I did not know they did adventures for this.
Yep.
So there are adventures
I used to have
modules
one somewhere
out for this.
Yeah.
But so 9 years, a whole slew of books and adventures, which really I think would help, cause, at least for me, in this system, because I had never seen adventures for this. I'd always only seen the manuals. Mm-hmm. The books attempted to follow the source material from Harmony Gold's anime, and then move into the incomplete manuscripts, because there were books written by the people who did Harmony Gold that never got further along. They actually did a series of fiction novels where there was a continuing story even beyond what the anime had. Mm-hmm. And they kept it, though. They kept following it for the role-playing game. That's something that I think Palladium did really well at the start, especially with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where it was like they took something and they went further with it than they had to. And I applaud Palladium for that. The majority of the work in the Palladium in the Robotech games comes from, over that time period, Kevin Siembieda.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either. Yeah, we are so sorry.
We've mispronounced it so many times. It's fine. I think in TMNT, I think the entire time you just called him Kevin Siemba.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's more letters in there, but it's like Nyarlathotep. When our producer, when his Masks of Nyarlathotep show started, it was Gnarlatep. Gnarltep is what he called it forever, and I was like, ugh. But I started listening to it 5 years too late to gripe about it. So.
And also the 10 pronunciations of Nietzsche.
Yeah.
Nietzsche. Yeah.
Just ethnic names.
But we're sorry. If you're listening, we're very sorry.
We're very sorry. Yeah.
Now, that's this series of books, the softbound guidebooks. And these are the ones that you had, Sam, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It followed the anime. So you had the different generations of anime that it went along with. Like, you had a book for the one where they were the Cyclones.
The Invid Invasion, yeah.
Yeah, Invid Invasion. You had ones for, so many different things.
It goes Robotech, which is the first series with Rick Hunter and all of them. Then it goes to Southern Cross, which still takes place on Earth, but the majority of the Robotech force goes into space. Yeah. Which explains why a lot of those machines, a lot of the mechs don't appear in Southern Cross. And then where Earth is overtaken and the forces come back, and that's what creates Invid Invasion. That's Invid Invasion. So, yes, the Cyclones were in Invid Invasion. They were the coolest ever.
I loved it. I know Roxy's never seen any of the Robotech.
Any of them.
They used to make a toy. There was actually a toy
do I
cyclone
have
for a
up
while.
here? Yeah, I actually have a poster from the the entire thing up on my wall behind me for Robotech. This came out in the late 80s. I think it was 88 when this poster came
That's
out.
Invent Invasion, actually.
Yeah.
I thought that said 86.
Was it 86?
It might be on the back of it where we can't see it, but...
But there is a kind of a mech-looking thing, and that's actually a bodysuit.
Mm-hmm.
And for that bodysuit, it's actually a motorcycle.
Yeah, what
okay.
it looks like, the motorcycle that they're riding on, right? That's the motorcycle version of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So the motorcycle transforms and turns into an armor that they wear.
Okay.
And it was so cool when I was a kid. I was like, it's like it's Robotech plus it's Transformers and
Yeah.
I fanboy over this one so hard. From what I remember, the first series of Robotech focused on the jets.
Yeah. I want to say the mechs were in there, but not like a whole lot. If they did, it was because they were going after Zentradi pods, which also sort of flew. They didn't. Zentradi didn't have anything that was solely ground bound, if I recall correctly. But they were there. You just I don't remember if they were serious, but it was it was air fighting, and because everyone likes dogfights.
Yeah. But the Southern Cross series focused more on like the ground mechs and some of the bigger, less agile mechs, from what I remember.
Yeah, the main character had a hover tank, a toy which I had, which was kind of goofy. A lot of the mechs didn't really transform like they do in Robotech. They were kind of half these hybrids. It really wasn't a very. I personally. It's my opinion. Southern Cross really wasn't all that great. But
No, I do agree as well, and I don't know too many people who really enjoyed that one.
yeah, the storyline was kind of weak.
Commence internet reading and flurry of comments.
Yeah.
Bring it.
No,
But and then of course the Invent Invasion with the Cyclones was freaking awesome.
And the alphas and betas, alpha beta combination.
Yeah.
Oh man, there were so many good things. Oh,
Yep. But
I feel young again.
Yeah. But
I'm a wee little child watching me Robotech.
But so this was the first series of books that came out, and they were your perfect bound, standard sized RPG books. And they did a relaunch of them in 1998. But what happened though, so they focused on that, and they did this relaunch, republishing, and then they set Robotech aside and moved on to working on Rifts.
Oh, another favorite.
And Rifts is an interesting game, but for those of you who know Rifts or know Robotech or don't, know both of them, the cool thing about Robotech and its tie-in to Rifts is that the entire concept of mega damage, which was 100 points of damage, that but then you're only worrying about that hundreds place digit.
Yeah.
That was pioneered in Robotech and moved on into Rifts, and like the Glitter Boys and a lot of the other the Bursters.
Yes, I remember the Glitter Boys.
They were all about doing that mega damage.
That was the night. That's part of the reason I really liked Palladium is towards the end when it was all unified, you could bring something in from another genre, and it won't be, or it shouldn't be, overpowered or underpowered. It can hold its own.
Yeah.
Right.
Because the systems are the same and the power systems and whatnot.
Yeah, it was very easy to do crossovers between anything that Palladium put out. You could do like Nightbane, which was a Palladium horror series. You could actually
I didn't know they had a horror series.
Yeah.
What?
You could pull that into, you could do a horror series where maybe, the Robotech's getting invaded by zombies or something.
TMNT mutant animal-human hybrids in Rifts would make a perfect
absolutely.
drop in. So,
but that was one of the things. So we actually have the large selection of the books. Some of them are Sam, some of them are mine, for this series. Now, The neat thing was, this took back off in 2008 for the Robotech The Shadow Chronicles. And when that came out, so Harmony Gold teamed back up with Palladium, which was interesting. And Palladium put out a pocket edition size of this, which was about, I think it was like an 8-inch book. It's about the size of the Masks book and a couple other of the smaller bound books. But so they put out a whole line of those, these just slightly larger than novel size RPGs. And it was, it was basically a pocket edition of all the old books.
Everything in there?
Made them wider.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately made the text really small.
Yeah.
I actually used to have one of them, but I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. But the Shadow Chronicles continued the story of Robotech from all the previous things. And Harmony Gold put out an anime with Funimation. And it was the first Robotech anime, in over 10 years, because the anime in Japan had been around for a bit. Harmony Gold actually paid to have one put out originally with the Shadow Chronicles.
And that was the only one that came out. There was only one that came out.
Oh, yeah.
I never saw it. So
I own it. I think I still do.
Oh, that bad?
It ended, it was an hour long. There was a huge build up for it, like months and months. This is coming, this is coming, this is coming. Months in advance. Just news. This thing is coming out. You know you love it. You remember it from your childhood. We're bringing back the voice actors. Yada, yada, yada. And it was 1 hour long with this cliffhanger ending of they're going back into space. You're kind of sitting there. It's like they came back to Earth and the war is starting all over. And now if you really want the story to continue, you're going to have to continue it in the RPG.
Oh, that's lame.
Yeah.
That's lame.
And I was like, oh, no.
It also doesn't make much sense either, because in Southern Cross, the RDF takes off into space.
Yeah, it comes back in the beginning of Shadow Chronicles.
Oh, okay. Because some of them came back, and that's what started Invasion.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's kind of weird. This is personal opinion.
No, I agree. And we're going to be hitting some interesting stuff with that. So those books, the Pocket Edition and the further larger books, continue to get published up until recently in 2018. For me, I will applaud Palladium, because thank you for keeping the dream alive. Robotech was a great system. You loved it. There's so many people that I find online that are old school gamers, and Robotech was their baby. Mm-hmm. Strangely enough, a guy, this is a weird thing. My pastor, one of our pastors, Brandon, his big game is Robotech.
Oh, sweet.
And I was like, it came up completely on random one time, and he's like, oh, yeah, because he heard about us being involved in gaming publishing, and he's like, have you ever heard
It was in my job interview.
He's like, oh, have y'all ever heard of Robotech? And or like, of course, she was like, of course, it's like one of my husband's things he rants about in the role-playing world. And he's like, oh, yeah, that was my baby. So I was like, well, it's kind of cool when you find out your pastor was an old gamer and loved that series. Looking at the books, I mean, we can touch on this if we wanted to.
The art of Kevin Long.
Yeah.
That is, like, he did almost all of the illustrations for Macross Saga. Mm-hmm. And he did some for the others. But, yeah, Kevin Long, just absolutely love his work.
Yep.
I want to say he also did some for Battletech. He did some for
Battletech. Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking through here. Yeah, the cover painting is by Kevin Long, which, same Kevin Long, I believe. And
Kevin Ciambieta, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, he also did some work. Artwork. He did it in RDF manual here, but they all did things, which is fantastic.
Now we're moving on from this because I'm certain that there are going to be some people out there. The internet really tracks down a lot of stuff on Robotech, because it is a thing where with Harmony Gold and Battletech and Robotech, there is a history of lawsuits. And I really don't want to go back down that rabbit hole. If people want to, listen to all the lawsuits that happened over the last 30 years, you can go listen to our Battletech show, which was Mech Warrior Battletech.
Man, that sucks.
But so the most recent thing about all this is that Palladium tried to launch a tabletop war game with Kickstarter of a tabletop war game figurines, which I actually have, called Robotech Tactics.
Mm-hmm.
The Kickstarter was successful, and the problem was the production run died with problems from production from a very well-known mini company called Ninja Division. There were production issues. There was one of the things that Kevin mentioned, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole either, was that one of the artists working on this. I mean, the Kickstarter went almost, I think, 1.6 million.
Wow.
Which is far beyond what they had expected.
That's how much people love Robotech.
Yeah. The artists working on some of the mechs attempted suicide.
Oh.
The stress level of working on this project and everything else.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. And they ended up with over a $500,000 deficit trying to finish out this game for people. And
wow.
They shopped around trying to find anybody that would help to finish it out, and nobody would touch it. I mean, a $500,000 is a lot to ask.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, you make that amount of money, and then you end up being in that much of a deficit, people are going to go, no, thank you.
Something.
Yeah. And if you know the internet trolls and the internet,
I'm sure they
the
had
whole
a field
outrage culture, they just went to town after Palladium for that. And ultimately, this last year, Palladium lost the license to Robotech. So it is no longer in their hands. If you have the books, hold on to them. If this is the version of what you want. Now, the news doesn't end there. And I think the news actually gets a little bit better. So the license is now held by Strange Machine Games, which produced the Robotech board games, Attack on SD1, and Ace Pilot, which is a small game that I picked up at Gen Con this last year.
Is it a dice-based game
It
or
is
is it cards?
Yeah, it's a dice-based game. It's, rolling your dice to, from the looks of it, has similar mechanics to Bang.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very happy that Strange Machine Games, which their games look beautiful. The beta is now out, available at their website, and the artwork, they are constantly updating their page, and it looks wonderful, and I'm really excited. They have announced that the new RPG is in development and is slated for release in the second quarter of 2019. So I am very excited to hear about that and to see somebody really revving up the love for this property. Because the anime, it's hard to go back and watch any anime from the 80s, which we've talked about before. Mm-hmm. But it holds a very special place in my heart because it was one of the first animes I ever saw, and it was on normal TV when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Seeing it come back out, I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to see how this works. Mm-hmm. So, thoughts on the system overall? I mean, Sam, this is one of your babies.
Well, like I was saying before, you can port these to any other Palladium game. So, I mean, there was a wide variety of things you could do, crossover kind of things. But the other nice thing about it is each of the three eras, for lack of a better term, they're like require a different playing style. Macro Saga, if you love being the soldier, that's pretty much Robotech, the first one. Southern Cross is more like a Wild West, whereas Infinite Invasion is Mad Max gone crazy. Mad Max with big robots.
Yeah, that's a really good way to think of it.
It's just, I love it. And I think part of it is too because nostalgia,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's fun. We love it, but we also like it because we grew up with this.
Yeah.
And I remember playing this in high school, and we had we were stupid about it, but we had a lot of fun doing it, and I cannot praise it enough.
Yeah,
cool.
I understand. Roxy, your thoughts on how badly we've geeked out? I mean, would you ever want to play this?
Perhaps,
they're so weird.
I don't remember what I said during the Battletech episode, if I said I'd want to play it. I did make a character for Battletech.
Yeah, you did.
But I mean, I'm open to playing just about anything. I mean, but as far as my experience with like the genre of transforming robots or battle mechs and stuff like that, I really don't have one. I watched, my cousins were more into Transformers than I was. I had the McDonald's toys where the fries transformed into a Transformer.
Oh, yeah, I remember those. I remember those.
The hamburger and the fries, and I think the chicken nugget styrofoam container, and maybe a drink. But it was a little bit before me. So I really got into we've talked about this too, I really got into the Ninja Turtles and real Ghostbusters cartoons. Those were the ones that I watched a lot of as a kid. And so, unfortunately, Transformers, it either wasn't on when I was watching cartoons or was on at a time that I missed it. Because I miss like Thundercats and all that. The stuff people kind of lump together, like Voltron and stuff. I never saw Voltron or any of that. So, I'm open to it. I just don't have any concept of like... I saw the new Transformers movies.
Yeah.
And most of those are pretty awful. Although people are really, really excited about this Bumblebee movie. I've seen so many people be so excited. I mean, and I'm glad that they're going back to the VW for it, but...
Yeah, because Volkswagen did not want to give it to them. They did not want Bumblebee to be a Volkswagen, so they were like, all right, and so they made it the Camaro. And once Volkswagen found out, saw just how popular it was, I'm sure they went... We can do this now.
Yeah, please, add the Volkswagen.
Don't think of the emissions.
Yeah. No, so, I mean, but people that I did not expect to be excited for the Bumblebee film have made comments about it. And I'm like, I haven't even seen an ad for it, I don't think. I think I've seen some pictures.
I used to have the Bumblebee toy. I had a lot of Transformers.
I mean, Bumblebee's great. I don't remember what was I listening to the other day? And somebody was like, Bumblebee's the worst.
Wasn't he voiced by Casey Kasem?
Yes,
in the cartoon?
original.
Yeah, because he doesn't speak, so he's got a...
Well, no, I mean in the cartoon.
Oh.
In the cartoon,
okay.
I want to say Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
Oh, could he talk in the cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, see, that's the argument that this person gave the other day about why Bumblebee was awful, is because he was mute.
Yeah, I never understood why they did that.
Because I know in the films they made him mute and made him, maybe because they couldn't get Casey Kasem because he was...
Possibly.
Casey Kasem's life ended very sadly, I think. Because
he
he
had
did the
a lot of voices. He did a lot of cartoon
did.
voices. It was crazy.
He did.
Yeah.
But no, here's something interesting trivia. You may know this.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually a transforming robot series. I want to say it was around or before Transformers.
Oh goodness. Before Transformers, because I remember
either around or
after or at the same time as a response was GoBots, which is
okay,
hilarious.
I thought that was before. Okay,
no,
yeah, that was the ripoff. That was the cheap ripoff.
Yeah, GoBots was the ripoff that was absolutely terrible.
Backwards.
No, somebody actually, there was a podcast that talked about 80s toys and how one thing would come out. Now there's an example right there. Something that came out and everybody had to copy it.
Yeah,
you know, man, I'd forgotten about that.
Was that woman in that movie? I'm like, oh my God, what a random thing.
they should not allow young women to marry older men.
And
I don't know
how
crazy the age difference was, but it had to be quite a bit because he'd been on the radio for decades, and she was probably in her 20s.
Yeah, and that is the strangest thing in the world. No, they're actually doing a 48-hour show about the mysterious death of Casey Kasem.
They did it already.
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, was it just yesterday?
Yesterday.
Oh,
See?
wow.
Look at that. I didn't even know it was a current event still.
I didn't even realize he was dead.
He died like 4 years ago.
Yeah, but they're doing a 48-hour special on the TV show.
And his kids basically said they believe he was murdered, or that he was murdered. So
anyway,
dun dun dun. That has nothing to do with Robotech or anything. He was Shaggy from Scooby Doo. That's all I know.
But I will say this: would I play or run this game? Yes, I would. In fact, that's why I actually originally bought the minis for the tactics set. I didn't buy it because because of a tabletop board game. I actually was hoping I could use the minis to run the game, like the RPG.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the combat system in the RPG is a big part of the the game itself. So,
but the nice thing about Palladium also if you've never played it. It's actually pretty easy to pick up the system.
Yeah.
Character creation is pretty nice too. Because it's just add stuff together.
And say what you will about the skill system, I actually like the percentile chance.
Oh, I do too.
So
yeah, it's unified. It's easy to look at. I mean, percentages also really cool. The only thing is, you could never make 100%.
Yeah,
it capped at 98.
Yep.
Interesting.
So well, guys, that concludes this episode. I think.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to Tome Travelers. Please subscribe to get our episodes as soon as they release. For more information about us, check out PassionNerdly.com, @PassionNerdly on Twitter and Instagram, as well as Facebook.com/PassionNerdly. Also, if you're interested in supporting our show, look us up at Patreon.com/PassionNerdly. Once again, thank you for listening.
This has been a production of the Southgate Media Group. For more podcasts like this one, head over to SouthgateMediaGroup.com.